Hello there, friends, and welcome to episode 61 of That One Gaming Podcast. My name is Colin, but I'm otherwise known as Delicious Morsels, and here today with me is Lucas, aka Carnevil9. How are you today, Lucas?
I'm covered in fertilizer dust.
That sounds very disturbing. And dusty.
Yes.
Try not to inhale too much of that. Might not be good for your health. Anyway, we also got Neil here, better known as VMK89. How is Neil doing today?
My name is Neil, and I'm a gamer.
Whoa. You're a gamer?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Wait. What is the G a capital G or a lowercase G?
Capital G.
Oh. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah. Anyway. I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh my goodness. Hi guys and listeners that may not also all be guys. I mean, we welcome all of anyway, if you're new to this podcast, whoever you are, we welcome you. All of you, except maybe the capital G gamers out there. They you know what? I digress. Welcome. This is the worst intro of all time. If you want to hear
worse before,
if you want to hear better intros, you can find the rest of our episodes on Spotify, Apple, or one of the many other podcasting platforms out there, where the three of us get together every other week to talk about a variety of topics in the world of gaming. And I promise our intros usually flow a little bit better than that. Anyway, today we are looking broadly at indie, AA, and AAA games and doing a bit of a compare and contrast, discussing the strengths and weaknesses of each one's, where our preferences tend to lie, and more. But how would we define these things for you, our listeners? Indie games, typically defined by their smaller independent development teams and lower budgets, have seen a significant boost in popularity over the last decade or so by providing smaller and oftentimes more unique experiences compared to their AA and AAA counterparts. AA games typically fall a bit short of AAA in scope and scale. That's why they have one less A in the name.
I thought we were talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, sorry.
I feel like I need that right now, and I'm not even an alcoholic. Okay. Well, AA games typically need help with their alcoholism. And because of this, they fall a bit short of AAA games in scope and scale, as well as budget, because they're spending all their money on booze. And they've seemingly nearly gone away over the last decade as large publishers put all their eggs into their big budget AAA offerings. However, with recent shifts in the industry post-pandemic and drinking habits of people, I guess, these types of games are starting to work their way back as publishers realize AAA development is getting too costly to be sustained. And of course, AAA games, they provide car insurance and many other kinds of insurance offerings to... No, I'm not doing this, okay? They are the big blockbuster experiences with massive budgets and development teams, and they frequently push the boundaries of technology available while playing it safe from an overall game design standard. You guys remember Blockbuster?
Yes.
So do I.
Not a ton of Blockbusters around where we live.
No.
Oh, there was one.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
Does not
Who's that?
exist anymore.
I used to have
Correct.
one right up the street from me when I was a kid. Until we moved after my brother was born. Then I did not have one right up the street from me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're doing with this episode anymore. This is so off the rails. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, but before we get into discussing our main topic like we normally do, we usually talk about the games that we've been playing since the last time we recorded an episode, and we did a much better job of it last time. Lucas, what have you been playing?
Oh, Fantasy Star.
Are online?
No,
Offline?
just Fantasy Star, actually.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
that's right.
Yeah,
You changed up the games.
not really. I'm
Means
still playing
something be-
PSO in the background.
Oh, okay. Well,
Just double screening it.
Jesus.
It's the real
I would not put it
why you have
past
a
him.
multi-monitor setup.
Exactly.
I actually try not to do that because, bandwidth while recording a podcast. So, I mean, there were a couple of times, but, I think that was more because I was like halfway through a quest when we started recording or something like that. Anyways, Fantasy Star on the Master System is actually a pretty good RPG for a, very primitive 8-bit RPG. Maybe a hot take, but I think it plays better than Final Fantasy on the NES.
It's not hard to play better than Final Fantasy on the NES.
Yeah. But it still probably could prove unpopular because I'm talking down on Final Fantasy.
Well, as the Final Fantasy aficionado here, it's not hard to play better than NES Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Fantasy Star's biggest sin is being a Sega game. And we've
Maybe
been
more,
over this
More specifically,
Specifically,
its biggest sin is being a Sega
a Master System game. Yeah.
yeah.
But
It was a
a
Genesis
Genesis-
game. Yep.
Yeah, if it was a Genesis game, then this would probably be one of the hugest titles. The Genesis.
On the Genesis, okay. Yeah. I was gonna say we I don't remember if it was last episode or the one before that, but we've been through it. It's like it's not necessarily a slight against Sega. I appreciate Sega a lot. They gave me Yakuza, one of my favorite franchises of all time.
They gave me Fantasy Star, one of my favorite
But-
franchises of all time.
But their console offerings
Yeah.
didn't compete the best. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Not saying anything of the quality of their offerings. They just didn't compete the best.
Yeah.
Saturn did do a lot better over in Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, they screwed up the Saturn over here in the West.
But also, yeah, Sega of America also just was horrible at marketing. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing for one mascot character, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And then the Saturn came out, and they just screwed everything up, even with him.
There's so many things about the Saturn that I feel like, kind of like if I were to, fantasy book it, like what dream wrestling card or like some sort of something like that. There are so many ways how I would make the Saturn that maybe would have made it a more successful console than it was. That's neither here nor there. I could go into it, but that further derail things further. A lot of it boils down to the 32X also being released right around the same time. And architecturally, it was incredibly similar to the Saturn. Like, it used the same dual CPU setup, and it just had a different graphics processor, and it used cartridges instead of being disc-based. But then the Saturn still had a cartridge slot for, like, memory expansions and memory cards and stuff. So, like, why not use the same graphics processor? And instead of just being, like, a memory expansion and save memory slot, make that a 32X cartridge slot. That way, like, people with Genesci could buy a 32X to put in that and play cartridge-based Saturn games on their old console, or you could buy the new console that has nice CD add-on wrapped up in it, and yeah, like, leverage the fact that the Genesis had the 32X and a CD add-on, maybe, and, like, surprise, you've upgraded your Genesis into a Saturn, basically, which I think is what they were trying to do with the CD 32X games that required both. But this is getting really far away from Master System Phantasy Star. This game's cool. Combat's kind of simplistic. Like, you don't get your choice of what enemies you target. Matter of fact, all of the encounters so far have just been of, like, a single enemy type. And they give you anywhere between 1 to, I think I've encountered as many as, like, 7 or 8 enemies in one encounter.
Nice.
Which sounds intimidating, but it actually scales the amount of enemies to how many members of your party you have. Because you start out with just Alice, and then when Meow joins your party, and Odin joins your party, and eventually Noah joins your party, it increases the cap of the number of enemies you can encounter during encounters.
Clever.
Yeah. And like, graphics wise, I mean, I'm normally not the graphics snob of the group, but like, it kind of makes me a bit disappointed that the Master System didn't do better, because, like, as an 8-bit console, the game looks absolutely beautiful.
It looks incredible for an 8-bit game.
Yeah, there is something about the palette that they use for the Master System that it just looks so vibrant and bright compared to NES games, which seem to have kind of, I'll say, like, a sort of washed out appearance. Like, I grew up playing an NES, and then just, like, making the jump to Super Nintendo, like, going back to that, it's like, wow, this looks really drab by comparison. And that's the same way with the NES versus the Master System, and that's going 8-bit console to 8-bit console. And I think probably even more revolutionary for the time for a console RPG, because I'm sure, more expansive PC platforms probably already had that sort of stuff. But the dungeons in the game, you go from, like, your traditional top-down RPG style to first-person dungeon crawler, which admittedly after a little while kind of wears out its well. Being in first person on a 8-bit game console, like, you're kind of limited on your options, and, like, maybe if there was an in-game map, like, see where you had previously been in the dungeon.
Yeah, that might help.
Yeah. So yeah, like, when I get to dungeons, I've been, looking up maps, but otherwise everything looks like a brick wall, left, right, and sometimes in front of you if you hit a dead end. But yeah, I've been enjoying it quite a bit so far. It's a cool game. I wish it would get more recognition. It's pretty hard to, given some of the competition for RPGs of that time period.
Sega, remake Phantasy Star. Cowards.
That would be so cool. I'm a bit disappointed. Was it at last year's Game Awards where they announced that they were going to make new entries for a bunch of Sega
And they didn't
franchises?
announce Phantasy Star? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, come on. Sega, what are we doing here?
Right.
Take Square Enix's HD 2D, do your own version of it, and remake Phantasy Star.
That would be great.
Just
actually, they've kind of already done that on the PS2. I don't know if it was released stateside or not off the top of my head.
Well, do it again.
Like,
basically
Star
look at the
Generation 1.
Basically take a look at Star Ocean Second Story R, which came out last year, and just do that, but Phantasy Star.
A series of Phantasy Star compilations were released for Sega Saturn, Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 2. And there's Phantasy Star Collection for the Saturn, which has all 4 games. Game Boy Advance release had the first 3. Up on Sega Retro, they would know. Fantasy Star Generation. Oh, it was on PS2 and PS3, and yeah, it was Japanese only, but it was sort of like a enhanced remake of Fantasy Star, and yeah,
We'll do it
it
again.
looks great, like at least from the screenshots of it that I've seen, and like it sort of updates the character designs to be more in line with like that of Fantasy Star Online,
Hmm.
which is cool because like that graphical style has aged absolutely beautifully in my
Yeah.
opinion. But yeah, you should if anything, maybe just like an English localization of Fantasy Star Generation 1.
Yeah. Be nice at the bare minimum.
Yeah, I believe they also did Fantasy Star 2 in that style as well.
Nice. So
Yeah.
so Neil, what have you been playing? Neil.
Well, still playing Sonic Generations. I've got to beat Silver, the Egg Dragoon, and after that, the Time Eater will unlock.
It's no use.
It's no use.
It's no use.
It's been a while since I tried Silver, but the last time I did it, I kind of banged my head against the wall every single time. I'd get to the last segment. I
It's no
can't figure
use.
it to do. It's no use. Fortunately, in Generations, they didn't just remake the Silver fight, the Sonic and Silver fight from 06. That was in the middle of a outdoor cafe for some reason.
I mean, that's the perfect place to fight another hedgehog, right in the middle of a cafe.
Unfortunately, there's no other people, but it is kind of infamous for the whole send you flying into space bit. But no, they completely redid the fight. It takes place in Crisis City, or Silver's post-apocalyptic future. So you're in a city that's on fire, and Silver is throwing the remains of cars at you, and there's multiple phases you have to chase after him, hit him multiple times, dodge cars, etc. But the last couple hits, you're being chased by like a Indiana Jones style boulder, but they're a giant pile of cars, and you have to, yeah, it's kind of wild. Giant orb of cars coming at you. Think Mer Battlesphere if you're a Magic fan. But I can hit him. Yeah, that's even better. I can hit him once, but then Sonic falls back, and immediately I get crushed by the boulder. I have to restart the fight. Very annoying. And every time I pick it back up, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try Silver again, and then if that fails, I'll fight Egg Dragoon or that's my only 2 options. And because I have stacked up a bunch of lives playing the rest of the game, including the side content, but every time I pick it up, I'm like, oh, let's just play Green Hill or Rooftop Run at least once, and then my just entire gameplay of the evening turns into just replaying Green Hill or Rooftop, because they're really good. So many of the levels in this one are good. Planet Wisp is kind of annoying for both classic and modern. Honestly, that's about it. Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes can be a little bad for modern because there's water you have to deal with. But other than that, the modern stages and generations are solid. So yeah, I keep wanting to play Silver and get to the end of the game, and instead I'm just like, oh, this is a good game. I'm just going to play it for the fun stages. Anyway, that's one game I've been playing. Also, last week, my friend Nathan, who featured on this podcast in one of our episodes, the food episode, Lord Kirov, as he goes by, was over, and I convinced him to play Sonic 06 with me.
Oh no.
Sonic 06 has multiplayer. We played, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 minutes. We learned something. Sonic 06's multiplayer has 2 modes, either co-op or I think it calls it tag or battle. And at first we were like, okay, let's work together and do tag mode. This turned out to be the wrong idea. Tag mode means you share the same limited amount of lives, 5, and to get past certain bits, you have to both be there at the same time to like deactivate a gate, so you can both get past. So we could get to certain parts and get decently far, but this is Sonic 06, and random deaths happen that shouldn't. So with only 5 lives, we could not get through the first level. So then we tried battle mode, which turns out to be a much better co-op mode. You have infinite lives. There's none of those gate deals you have to deal with. So if like one player gets to a checkpoint, all the other player has to do is die, and they can get to that checkpoint as well. So we ended up playing battle mode in sort of a faux co-op version because we switched over from Wave Ocean that we had been playing, which is the first level, to Flame Core, which is a volcano level, and we sort of had to like talk to each other and be like, I think how you get past this area the best is to jump over the dash panels, because if you don't, you just speed into lava. It's a nightmare. Ultimately, at one point, we were waiting for it to load back up, long load times, and Nathan looked at the clock and was like, ooh, I better get going. So we walked away from Sonic 06, and the game only loaded up while he was packing up, and the gameplay started, went for about 45 seconds on autopilot, until we both stopped standing like perpendicular to the ground on a loop, like sideways, just magnetized there. As physics in Sonic 06 are bad too. Lovely.
Surprise.
But honestly, we had a good time. Like we were like, this game is awful, and we keep dying in awful ways, but playing it together makes it a whole lot more entertaining than frustrating. So
It's awful in a fun way.
indeed. Yeah. But yeah. I might bring Sonic 06 to game night this week.
Nice.
See if people want to join in the misery.
Suffer.
That sounds hilarious.
Would you like to suffer?
All the time. I'm a professional.
But why?
Anyway, Colin, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? Yes. My weekly Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep streams are still plugging away. I think we did week 3 this week. Yeah. And let me tell you something. If you're missing these streams, you're missing out, because like this is good stuff.
Yeah.
This last stream was hilarious. It was just Neil, myself, and Jazzy that night. So Jazzy is the Kingdom Hearts lore master, at least of the 3 of us that night. And there were multiple points during the stream where he had to get up and go take care of something. So it was just Neil and myself. And there was a point where the age of Sora came up. And it was just hilarious, because all this time I thought Sora was 10 in Kingdom Hearts 1, because Haley Joel Osment, his voice actor, sounded like he was 10 years old in the first game. Turns out Sora's 14 in Kingdom Hearts 1.
14?
He's 14!
That's kind of wild.
Yeah. So we had a very funny exchange about that when Jazzy finally came back. We basically, our Kingdom Hearts lore master stepped away, and Neil and I went into full crisis mode trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
It was Birth by Sleep is 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1, and we ended up at like Destiny Islands with Sora and Riku looking like little kids, and we're like, wait, the math doesn't add up.
This is not adding up. What's going on here? And that wasn't even the only thing that happened that night, because before the stream even really began, like at the very beginning of the stream, found out that I forgot to save last week.
Oh no.
And last week's stream ended with me struggling for over half an hour against this boss fight. Finally winning, and then I was like, All right, this is where we're going to end the stream for tonight. This is the end of this world. Now, I was super excited because the next world we were going to was Lilo and Stitch. And I was like super hyped going into this week's stream because like, yes, first thing we're doing is Lilo and Stitch. Let's go. Load up the save. And I'm like, wait, something's not right here. And I found out I had to fight that boss all over again. I wanted to cry and scream. I did scream. Oh my god, it's so much fun though. I'm loving Birth by Sleep in spite of its somewhat frustrating boss fights. There are some quite frustrating boss fights. Some of it admittedly probably self-inflicted because the boss I fought at the end of this week's stream that was giving me the 1-2. I took Jazzy's suggestion and went and grinded for 10 minutes? I think it was only like 10 minutes. I don't think it was more than 10 minutes. Just went and grinded for 10 minutes, unlocked a couple skills that I didn't have yet by Jazzy's suggestion, and came back and I just annihilated this boss. Just crushed him. It was so good. So this coming stream, which will be the night this episode go live, I will be wrapping up Terra's part of the story. And then I think Ventus is next. I think so. Something like that. But yeah, I'll be wrapping up the first of the 3 character storylines this coming stream, the night this episode goes live. But also, I have been playing. I just randomly on a whim last week was like, I'm going to replay Final Fantasy 15. So I did. And you know what? I still love that game a lot. Everyone likes to dogpile on it because it allegedly launched in a not very good state. I would like you to know I put 70 hours into that game at launch and loved every minute of it. And now playing through it again this week, I still love it. And this week I got to play all of the added content that they added to the game after launch. They added 4 DLC episodes, 3 of which are based on the other 3 party members, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. And then the 4th one is based all around Arden, which is the game's main villain. And they're about an hour and a half each. Arden's was a little bit longer. I think that took me 2.5, close to 4-ish hours, I think, for that one. But those were really good also. They all featured different gameplay styles as well. Prompto's, because Prompto uses guns, his is more like a third-person shooter. That was kind of neat. And then Ignis uses like daggers and does some really quick attacks, and then Gladio uses really big heavy swords, so his combat felt a lot more weighted and it relied a lot on like precision timed parries and stuff. And that was really good. And then Arden, dudes, Arden's combat was incredibly fun. For lack of spoiling it, because I don't really want to spoil it, but let's just say it was my favorite of the 4 DLC episodes combats. It was incredibly fun to play as Arden. And just his story as well. Like, I think Arden is a top 5 Final Fantasy villain for me. I love that guy. I love his personality. I love just the backstory surrounding him. He's actually a very, very tragic villain. And his DLC episode really, really expands on that a lot more than you got in the base game. And I love that guy. If I had to rank my top 5 Final Fantasy villains right now, he would be number 5. But top 5 nonetheless. The other 4, if you're curious, from 1 to 4 are Emmett Selk from Final Fantasy XIV, the absolute best villain in the entire damn franchise, and one of my favorite villains of all time. I love Emmett Selk. Another tragic villain. I kind of have a thing for tragic villains, it seems. Number 2 is Kefka. Number 3, Sephiroth. Number 4, Seymour from Final Fantasy X. And then 5, Arden from Final Fantasy 15. But I just love the vibes of this game. There isn't another game out there, not even within like not necessarily just within the Final Fantasy franchise. There just isn't another game out there that has vibes like Final Fantasy 15 does. And I always like to joke around calling it the boy band road trip simulator, because it kind of is. But I mean that endearingly, because I love it. I love it all. Like, you just ride around in a car with your 3 best friends, going around getting ready to assume your destiny as the one true king and save the world from darkness. And I love Final Fantasy 15. It is a phenomenal game. It may not be like one of my, I don't know if it might be I think it's a top 10 Final Fantasy for me. Yeah, it's definitely a top 10 Final Fantasy for me, especially after this replay, just reminding me how much I loved it to begin with. But it's still just fantastic. And all the people that hate on it, they suck. The game doesn't suck. The haters suck.
Yeah.
But after I finish Final Fantasy 15, see, I'm in this mode now where I'm just waiting for Metaphor ReFantazio to come out. And as of record, it comes out tomorrow. So we're recording this episode on Thursday because scheduling issues this weekend. But my copy of the game is coming from Canada. So it's not going to be here tomorrow. So I was like, I need to fill the space with some more games while I wait. So I also really wanted a spooky game because it's October. It's spooky time. And I was flipping through the games I had on my PS5, just through PS Plus, all the free games that I've redeemed over the years. And I came across Alan Wake Remastered that I completely forgot I actually owned on there. So I installed that and started playing that. And I swear to God, I started this game way back in the day on the 360 and played maybe an hour of it, but I don't know for sure if I have. And it's weird. But anyway, I'm about halfway done with the game now, and this game is just like so weird and trippy, and I love the vibes of this game. So essentially the premise of this, Alan Wake is a famous writer, and essentially the game starts out, he and his wife are going on a vacation to a small town in the mountains called Bright Falls. And they're just trying to get away because Alan's been suffering from this immense writer's block. He just can't write anything at all. So they try to get away from home for a while to see if that kind of sparks his creativity and all that. And then the weird happens. His wife goes missing, and all of a sudden, darkness itself begins to weaponize itself against him and try to kill him. And it's basically a fight against darkness trying to track down your wife. And it's crazy insane. Like, all the weird stuff that happens in this town is just insane. There's like, you're equipped with a flashlight and a revolver for most of the game. And you can't, like, all these enemies that come after you, they're like shadow people essentially, but they're the townspeople, but they're like shadow versions of them. And you can't hurt them until you shine your flashlight on them to like weaken them. Otherwise, they're completely impervious to gunfire and stuff. But then after you kill them, they just vanish into the ether instead of just like leaving a body behind. So they're like shadow copies of these people. And it's super weird. And essentially what it is, you come to find that you find scattered all throughout this town are pages of a book. And when you pick them up and read them, you find that they are pages of one of Alan's books. And not only are they pages torn out of one of Alan's books, but they are describing in one-for-one detail what is happening in the game.
Wild.
So you come to find out that what's actually trying to kill Alan is his own stories. And it is so trippy. And it's actually kind of cool also because these manuscripts, they're collectibles. Like, you find a whole bunch of them scattered throughout every level. But you'll pick up a page and it'll describe something that hasn't happened yet. So it's effectively spoiling the game for you to read these. But at the same time, it works in that it's feeding into this meta narrative that it's actually Alan's story that is the antagonist, essentially. So it's like, it's really cool. And I can't believe I have not played this game sooner. I've been wanting to play it ever since last year when they announced the sequel, and especially since they announced earlier this year that a physical copy of Alan Wake 2 is coming out. It's like, man, I gotta play Alan Wake 1 still. So I'm glad I'm finally making it through that. It's such a cool game. And I can't wait to play Alan Wake 2 now. Alan Wake 2 physical comes out the 22nd of this month, and I am definitely buying that and playing that because not only was it one of the most critically acclaimed games of last year, but just going off of this game, I want to see how they top it. I've heard a lot of good things about Alan Wake 2. I'm turning into a little bit of a horror buff as far as games go. I'm not going to play like those like wacky, like insanely over the top horror games with like the Outcasts and stuff like that. That I think is still too much. But like the psychological horrors or like the Resident Evil likes and stuff, I'm really, really into these games now. Like this game, Alan Wake, just messes with your head in such a cool way. And I dig it. But anyway, let's move on to our Hey Listeners segment.
Hey, listen!
Each episode, we ask our Discord members a prompt based on the topic of the episode for them to respond to. And if you, listening to this, would like to join in on the fun, there is a link to the Discord down below, and we hope to see you there. This week, we're all discussing indies and AA's and AAA games and batteries and rock bands that don't have their own labels and stuff like that. And no, wait. That's not how that works. Anyway, so our write-in from this week, we got one write-in from Jazzy. And Jazzy writes, indies, good. AA games, good. AAA games, good. Each quote-unquote tier of game absolutely deserves a spot in the discussion. There is a shit ton of debate over what makes an indie game an indie. Some claim budget, some claim size of the dev team. Does the game have a dedicated publisher, etc.? I'll let you guys get into the nitty-gritty of that. Now, I think you're more or less on the money with that, but yeah, we'll get into it a little bit, I guess. I adore indie games, Jazzy continues. Indies often get a bad rep because they're cheap or kid-friendly or what have you, but they sometimes seem like the only tier of games capable of taking risks. They let devs experiment and try new things, and you won't find a more varied genre of games. Platformers, roguelites, deck builders, action, casual, etc., etc. If it flops, yeah, that sucks, but it's much less of an investment than in AA or AAA game. Looking at you, Concord. What's that? Never heard of it. I feel like I have a memory of something that was there once, but then like somebody did like the Men in Black thing and like flashed it in front of my eyes because it's just gone. It doesn't exist. I think Sony might have done that. Anyway, back to Jazzy. Likewise, they are typically the cheapest games on the market. Free to play and shovelware excluded, of course. Typically around the $15 to $30 mark. AA games are kind of like that too, though. They allow big-time devs and publishers to take more risks than they seem willing to do in their AAA games because, again, fewer resources typically go into it. These games often release a little cheaper than AAA games, say the $40 to $50 range instead of $60 to $70. AAA games are where all the budgets go, often being like $100+ million to make, which is baffling to me. That leads to a lot of fancy graphics and cinematic set pieces and mini games. A lot of people shit on AAA games for being movies with some gameplay or copy and pastes of older games, While there does seem to be less room for innovation in AAA games, I wouldn't necessarily say they're bad. Really, it comes down to what you want in the game, and I absolutely love that cinematic appeal of PlayStation Studios games like Spider-Man and God of War. The FIFAs and Maddens and Call of Duties, however, aren't my cup of tea. My biggest gripe with AAA games is how long they take to make. I miss getting new entries in games every year or two. Now it's often a 4 to 5 plus year gap between big budget games. All that to say, we need all tiers of games, indie, double, and AAA. They often cater to different audiences due to their diversity and price ranges. Some take risks, and others play it safe. Some pump out new releases yearly, and some cater to the perfect experience from over half a decade of development. And gaming is better for that. Thank you, Jazzy, for the excellent write-in. That is a very good spring off point into our main discussion where we discuss and compare and contrast and create a proverbial Venn diagram, I guess, of indie, AA, and AAA games. Yay!
Hello,
But I
do you
think-
have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior cave story?
Ba-ba-dum. The thing that's interesting about indie games is you have a very wide swath of breadth of, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. There's a very wide
Got
swath
good
of,
spread.
it's got good spread. There's a very wide swath of like criteria for indie games. I don't even know if criteria is the word I'm looking for. I don't know what words I'm looking for right now. I'm just saying things that come out of my head. Sometimes they make sense. They might not be making sense right now. We're just going to roll with it. What I mean to say is you have indie games that come from a single creator over a course of 5 years, a la Cave Story.
Yeah.
But also you have a game like last year's Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3, which was made by a slightly larger team with a significantly larger budget, but was independently developed and self-published, therefore making it an independent a la indie game. So it's very, very interesting, the indie side of things nowadays, because like
Yeah.
that has exploded the most over the last number of years. It's just the
Mhm.
amount of variety you get out of that.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, indie games still kind of capture the innocent magic of a younger, more naive video game industry, where
Yeah.
the
and a lot of
prior-
the subject matter of like indie titles seems to be kind of like nostalgia throwbacks
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
like games of the past.
Shovel Knight,
Yep.
the last
Cave Story.
Cave Story.
But then also you get really profound narratives that dip into a lot of subject matters that larger budget games kind of shy away from. Like you have the whole mental health thing of a game like Celeste,
Yeah.
or like A Space for the Unbound, which was a game I played last year and absolutely adored and stuff. And it's not to say like bigger budget games don't tell emotional gripping stories and stuff, but there's certain avenues that they kind of don't tend to go down compared to an indie
Mhm.
game that's a little bit more personally developed rather than like a large team trying to bring a single vision together.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm blanking on another game, but it's like a point and click adventure game that I'd learned about through a Pushing Up Roses video that very much covered the mental health thing. I'm drawing a blank on what that was. Did remember another game though. Trying to find that game, like a very unique indie point and click adventure game, Dropsy. Game contains absolutely no dialogue and everything is like communicated through emotions.
The no dialogue thing just kind of reminds me of the caveman portion of Alive Alive. I don't know why my mind went there, but all I can think of them because they speak through basically their chat bubble, their text bubbles are like emotion, like emoticons
Mhm.
Emojis. That's the word I'm looking for. Like they basically speak through emojis and like exaggerated animations because they don't have a language yet.
Yeah. It's actually kind of how Dropsy text works. It's like there is no like legible language. Everything is communicated either through like character actions or symbols, which is very cool. Just like all conveyed through like body language and stuff. Saves on the budget. No script review that way.
Right.
Yeah, definitely with indie games though, there is a lot of sort of like tribute to the past type stuff.
Mhm.
A lot
Yeah,
of
pixel
links to
pixel
the
art
past.
A lot of
makes the
pixel art,
best.
which
What?
it's kind of an interesting choice because like there's a lot of artists out there doing their own thing, like doing 3D modeling in Blender, but or that you know they could be contributing that sort of stuff to indie games,
Hmm.
but like it just kind of seems like the indie game community as a whole, we've adopted pixel art as sort of our
Hmm.
large universal calling card. And I mean, I'm definitely not complaining. It's like I'm a big fan of like most of the games that like those games pay tribute to often. Of course, also with indie games, you get some completely off the wall stuff.
Hmm.
Um, like one game that immediately comes to mind that I've contemplated doing for like our indie game showcase episodes called TIS 100, and it's a puzzle game, but the puzzle is that you're actually just programming a fictional mainframe computer in that computer's mainframe assembly programming language.
That
Wild.
sounds like a Lucas game.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Like literally one of the achievements available on Steam for this game is an RTFM achievement. Like they give on the game's document or on the game's game page, they include a link to download a PDF of the like programming and operating manual for the TIS 100, and you get an achievement for downloading the manual.
Nice.
So yeah, to say that it's a lot of creativity in the indie game space is a very accurate statement. Yeah. Admittedly, I don't pay a ton of attention to like the double or triple A game space because like I don't know if I would say they aren't really my thing, but like I have mixed feelings towards them because it's probably just being sort of like out of touch with that space, but a lot of it feels like it does feel like the same sort of gameplay formula.
Hmm.
Usually, like Jazzy mentioned in their hey listeners, write in like these games get all the budget and you know it gives them the sort of appearance to me of like, this is a graphics tech demo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which, probably is inaccurate to some degree.
Yeah. I do have to push back on that.
Yeah. I
I
know
mean,
we were having some discussions surrounding this earlier this week when I reminded Colin, like, hey listeners question, because that's on Thursday instead of Sunday. But yeah, I had mentioned that, and then Colin replied with that
that
sure is a
certainly sure is a take. I think tech demo is a bit extreme
prop.
in most cases.
Yeah. 'Cause
Graphical
realistically,
showcase. I think showcase is the better word for it
probably
because
that
yeah,
I think showcase was probably more what I meant.
I
It's
think
like,
so. Yeah,
when you think of tech demos, you think of like that wicked
very
cool Unreal Engine 5
yeah,
demo that or for the PlayStation 5
yeah.
that they showed off, which was, entirely rendered within Unreal Engine 5, but it wasn't actually like gameplay.
Mhm.
Tech demos probably more appropriately applied to something like Super Mario 128. Like
Mhm.
as it was more of like a hardware feature tech demo that they did when they first unveiled the GameCube and showed off 128 Marios moving simultaneously in different motions and patterns on the GameCube to show off its capabilities. And then they actually showcase that with Pikmin, which is the reason why you can only have 100 Pikmin out on the field at once, is because they needed the other 27 slots to be able to control
Mhm.
other objects.
But like one thing especially I do want to push back on is that AAA necessarily only means like the highest end graphics and the cinematic presentations and stuff. Because like your first party Nintendo games, not all of them, but like your marquee titles, your Marios, your Zeldas, those are AAA games.
Mhm.
They have the budget, they have the production behind them and stuff. So those are AAA games as well. It's just a lot of people don't associate them with that because Nintendo, they make kids games
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. I
Like,
do that too, but rather than thinking of them as kids' games, I think of them as games I like.
Yeah. They have like a
Here's the
different
thing, though.
philosophy
Yeah.
than like a Call of Duty or a.
Here's the thing though, is you don't even know if you like those games because you
That's
won't
true.
play
Yeah.
them. How long have you had my PS4?
That's true.
You have access.
Yep.
You just won't do it.
It took me 10 years after the game's release to finally play Skyrim, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
pro-
very true that I do not know if I do or do not like AAA titles.
I promise you, you boot up Spider-Man, you will love that game. I promise you. Like,
Probably.
I think you would really enjoy Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
It's very front-loaded with cutscenes at the very beginning, but like-
Maybe I won't.
but it's good cutscenes.
Yeah.
But like the gameplay in Final Fantasy 16 is incredible. It's fast-paced, it's fun.
Yep.
And like the Final Fantasy 7 remake games especially is like one of the best action combat systems, not only in an RPG, but I think in just an action game, period.
Yeah.
I think those games, especially Rebirth, the way it iterated on Remake's combat system, I think now, because I had a little bit of an issue with Remake in particular, especially like playing through it a second time after playing Final Fantasy 16, which was a fully real-time game, where Rebirth still has like the pause, slow down, select menu, select commands and stuff.
Mhm.
But a lot of the issues that I had with Remake were addressed in Rebirth, and now I really can't wait to see how they iterate on it further in part 3 to close out the trilogy, because pretty much the only issue, the biggest issue I had with Remake was your party members didn't really do much unless you micromanaged them.
Mhm.
And they added special materia in Rebirth that basically give them the ability to think a little bit more for themselves. It gives them the ability to automatically use their special abilities when their ATB charges up enough to do so and stuff like that. It's like, that's like all I needed.
Yeah.
I was just sick of pausing the game every 2 seconds because Tifa's sitting over here with full ATB and I need help.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you actually played some of these games, emphasis on actually played some of these,
Yes.
you find you actually like some of these.
I'm certain I would, but also I think part of why I tend to steer away from AAA games is because of the other big contender of the AAA game space of like the annual release games that Jazzy also mentioned.
Yeah, those are another thing entirely.
Yeah, that's the sort of AAA game that I really don't have interest in. And also like kind of what makes my eyes roll and not pay attention to AAA.
Yeah, like every once in a blue moon, I'll be like, I'm in the mood for a hockey game, so I'll pick up that year's hockey game. But like,
Yeah.
I don't buy them yearly because that's freaking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason that I have WWE 2K24 because I
it
bought
looked neat.
well, I bought 2K23 last year because for the first time ever, at least since I paid attention to them, they didn't put an athlete on the cover.
That's true.
You couldn't see see him. So I was like, all right, I'll bite on this. I'll check this out. And I ended up actually really loving that game.
Mhm.
The WWE 2K games are actually phenomenal games for what they are now. But I also have 2K24
Yep.
because PlayStation gave it away this month.
Oh, nice.
That's the only reason I own that game. I was not going to go out and buy this year's slightly updated version of the game I just bought last year, but I'll take it for free.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I wish they would do with these sports games is put them in these free services more often.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't think I haven't bought a yearly hockey game. I don't think ever, honestly. The copy I have, the most recent hockey game I own, I think is 2019.
Yeah.
And that was another freebie on PlayStation back in the day. And I think I downloaded 24 on my Xbox because it was on Game Pass. That's another place where these yearly games work very well, is in a service like Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's why I'm actually kind of looking forward to this year's Call of Duty because I'm not going to have to spend $70 on it.
Yeah.
Because I would not spend $70 on it.
Yeah. The sort of like annual release AAA titles are actually really what make game streaming services or subscription services like Game Pass and PS Plus. That actually sort of makes sense because it's just a flat fee and then you get to play the new release as it comes out.
Exactly. See, there's ways to work it, but outside of that, it's like
it's probably about as close to like, here's say like we're not going to make any more annual release, like here's Madden and each year we're going to release a DLC for the updated rosters.
Yeah, that would make so much more sense for annual things.
That would be the most consumer friendly way to do that for sure.
Now you point out the reason they probably don't do it.
Yeah, well,
but then there's also like gameplay or like game engine limitations, like
that's true.
Kind of see that with what EA is doing with The Sims 4 right now, where they've made it into a free-to-play, and you just have to buy the expansions that you want to buy. But that game is like 10 years old at this point, and the game engine was sort of originally designed, I think, for like I wouldn't say like a MMO Sims, but like sort of a online connected multiplayer experience, kind of like the botched Sims City.
Oh yeah.
So you haven't heard then that recently, this is like last couple weeks, they said they are not going to make a Sims 5.
No, I have heard that.
Oh, you have? Okay, yeah. And I guess they're just going to keep perpetually developing on Sims 4, which to a degree that makes sense in their position because Sims 4, like you said, is like
it released in 2014.
Yeah,
and here they are still trying to like hold the game together with duct tape, turning it into a live service game.
Yeah, but like also in that 10 years, they've released so much content for that game.
Yeah.
That
so much content that LGR at one point gave up reviewing all of the expansions.
But like it wouldn't necessarily all be transferable into Sims 5, which would mean you're effectively starting at zero again. And that's the thing a lot of these live service games kind of face is like, do you keep building on what's there, or do you release a new updated game like 5 or some odd years down the line and then start completely from scratch?
Yeah.
So like that's the
Like, yeah, that's the big conundrum with like those types of things is that like once the engine starts showing like its age, it's you're torn between like, well, do we keep just bug fixing, or should we really just kind of like shorten the lifespan of the game? So like I can't believe I'm saying this because like normally I'm kind of opposed to the whole game subscription service thing because I like owning my games. But it really makes sense for your annual release like AAA title type games like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like it does feel weird and dirty as an advocate for not only physical media but just like ownership of your games in general. Like it feels kind of dirty to admit. It's like some of these games like I am fine with never owning because they're just perpetually changing.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
but that being said, it's like I don't want to have to purchase these games that I know I'm never going to own either.
Yep.
So that's like the other side of it. Like I'm fine putting money into a battle pass in like Fortnite or whatever every now and then when it comes up, one that interests me. But I wouldn't want to pay for Fortnite, if that makes sense. It
and it's like not like the core gameplay really changes a whole lot between those types of AAA titles. Because I mean, like, if you're getting the current year's Madden, like you're still playing by the rules of football, even though they may have like tweaked the control scheme to make it feel maybe a little different. But it's not like smaller scale like next entry in a fighting game series. It's not, Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger versus Chrono Phantasma.
Yeah, and like think of something like
differences.
Smash Ultimate.
Yeah.
Like how do you follow that up? How? It's impossible. You can't.
Yep.
Like
yeah.
literally
I can see Sakurai crying into his desk with like a glass of bourbon and a pack of cigarettes right now, trying to think of how we're going to make the next Super Smash Brothers.
Like literally you have basically 3 options. The one option is you just port this game into oblivion.
Yep.
And it just lives perpetually.
Yep.
The other option is you say, all right, guys, like it or not, we're going to ground zero again.
Yep.
Or you completely reboot the franchise with a tweaked gameplay style. Like maybe it's an arena fighter instead of a 2D type thing. But
maybe it's an anime fighter built in collaboration with Arc System Works.
There you go. But like
I
a game
totally
like that,
think you should do that with Fire Emblem. Hint.
Absolutely
wink,
should.
nudge.
Yeah. Get Intelligent Systems and Arc System Works on the phone together, please.
Yes.
Intelligent Arc System Works.
that is like the anime fighter. Like
it's so ripe for it.
Right? Yeah.
But where was I going with it? But like a game like Smash Ultimate is impossible to follow up.
Yeah.
But all of this kind of makes me yearn for I don't even know how this pertains to the main topic, but we're just kind of off on a tangent, so we're gonna explore it.
It could be a quadruple A game.
Like Skull and Bones. Oh no. But all this live servicey game stuff though does make me kind of yearn for the days of yore where you had a solid single player campaign that was fun. Maybe it had co-op like Halo.
Yep.
And then you had a multiplayer mode. And that multiplayer mode had a lot of content at launch. And that was the content that you got. And it had a progression system for you to unlock things as you played. And then that was that until this next game in the series comes out a few years down the line. And that was enough for us back then. I wish we could get back to that in a way.
Did DLC and pay to win ruin AAA games?
I remember like installing the Halo 2 map pack for the first time and playing those. I think it was like 4 new maps that they gave you in that map pack. I forget. It was so long ago, but that was the coolest thing. It's like you went to GameStop, you bought a disc, and the only purpose that disc served was to put more maps on your copy of Halo 2.
Yeah.
Those are the days.
Yep.
But even before that, it's like
I think
we all would have kept playing Halo 2 whether or not we had that map pack.
Yeah.
Because it was Halo 2.
I think the local game store that we lurk around might have a copy of the map pack still.
Nice. Those were the days. But we kind of got a little bit of a reminder of the good old days from a game that came out earlier this year. And it was a little bit, I don't know if you would call it a AAA game either. It kind of like treads the line between double and AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Where there are moments where it absolutely looks like a AAA game. But I think just the overall production behind it and the production philosophy, I think, if that makes sense, kind of pushes it more in the AA spectrum. But Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 came out this year.
Yeah.
And that game is basically Xbox 360 era third-person shooter, the game.
Yeah.
It's basically like I haven't had time to play it yet myself, but I bought it because it looked like exactly the kind of game that I wanted to play. Just haven't had time to. But it's got a fully co-op campaign, and it's just basically Gears of War, but Warhammer. You're this big, gigantic, beefy dude, and you're just going around ripping and tearing. And in addition to the campaign that also has co-op, there is also a multiplayer mode built in. And what's there is what's there. And they have like a limited season pass that they're doing sort of thing, but like they're not gonna keep building on this game perpetually like a typical live service game, they've said. They're just they have their roadmap, they're gonna implement that stuff, and then they're done. And then the game is just in the hands of players, sort of thing. It's just like the good old days. I gotta play that game soon, though. It looks really good. You know, I have time after I buy it, or after I finish Alan Wake, to start Space Marine 2 before my copy of Metaphor gets here. But also, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero comes out tomorrow. You want to talk about a AA, AAA game? Look no further than Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, where at times it has very much the presentation of a AAA game. Graphically, the game is beautiful, but it's very much AA in the gameplay sense and just the overall vibe of it, really. Like most Dragon Ball games were back in the day. I mean, it's effectively Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. I'm not that familiar with the Tenkaichi games because there are aspects of them that kind of I didn't like. Like I grew up on the classic Budokai 2, Budokai 3. And the way those games functioned is the rosters were very small. They had all the characters you could want from those eras that the games released in. But the way the Tenkaichi games handle it is every single transformation is its own character. Mm-hmm. So you have this thing where Sparking Zero boasts a roster of like 188 characters, and 19 of them are Goku.
Does that even include like Goku Black?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 19 of them are Goku. Like, what are we doing here, guys? And like, one of the things I didn't like about other Dragon Ball games through the years is like why I haven't bothered to try Dragon Ball Fighters, even though the game looks phenomenal is it's the same thing. It's like every one of Goku's transformations is a different character. It's like when I say I grew up on the classic Budokai games, what I mean especially is that if I want to play, say, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I have my one Goku in the roster that I select, and then I spec him out to be able to transform into Super Saiyan 3. And I liked it that way.
Yeah.
The Dragon Ball Xenoverse games were completely different thing where you actually made your own character and stuff, but they kind of retained some of that, but then also made it more of an arena fighter like the Tenkaichi games.
Mm-hmm.
But so I enjoyed Xenoverse 1. I never got to play the second game, but Xenoverse 1, I was able to make my character, and then I unlocked the ability to give him the ability to transform into Super Saiyan and stuff. So there are apparently mid-match transformations in Sparking Zero, but that does not change the fact that there is Goku and Super Saiyan Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and you get it. Being able to transform mid-match is more attractive than not being able to, but still seeing all these different variations of the same character filling out a giant roster, it
kind of cheapens the
Like, they're
we
like,
have a
oh,
ton of
188 characters. It's like, okay, how many characters is it when you take out all the individual transformation forms?
Right, yeah.
Which, to its credit, still pretty impressive after that. I mean, you're still looking at a lot of fan favorite characters. And they went for some deep cuts in this roster too. I mean, like all the villains from like all the Dragon Ball Z movies are in there apparently.
Oh, nice.
From the movies. Like, notoriously the movies, they're not canon. They're just cool, non-canon side stories that just take place at random points throughout the main series.
Cooler?
Yeah. There's Cooler, there's Cooler, there's Metal Cooler. They're all different characters, even though they're the same character though.
Yep. Or how very drastically different like movie Garlic Jr. from Dead Zone is from Garlic Jr. Saga Garlic Jr.
But to kind of rein things back in, we're meandering a lot. We're doing a great job on this compare and contrast episode. One thing I did want to kind of elaborate on a little bit though is I mentioned that like AA games have kind of fizzled out a little bit over the last decade or so as like the emphasis at big publishers have kind of pushed into the safer AAA big budget type titles. That's not to say they've gone away completely. One of my favorite franchises of all time as of the last year and a half or so, getting close to 2 years now actually, is I would consider them AA with some AAA sensibilities, but I would consider the Yakuza series pretty AA, if I'm being honest.
Would agree.
Their cutscene production is very AAA, but overall the gameplay and their development philosophy of reusing assets and stuff and working as efficiently as they do, that's a very AA kind of design philosophy, I think. And that franchise has gotten only bigger and bigger over the last couple of years. Like, it's exploding now. Now we're freaking Pirate Majima and Hawaii coming out in February. Looking forward to that. But yeah, so like it's really, really hard though to really classify a AA game.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, it's like you know it when you see it or feel it. Like you can't
to some extent.
Yeah. It's like
with the PS1 and PS2 era like platformers and action games like the Ratchets and the Spyros and the Jak and Daxters, those AA or AAA?
See, I feel like those I think budget wise they do fall more in AA because that was kind of before like Sony really started like bringing these studios in as part of PlayStation Studios and really like bankrolling these projects and stuff.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I would argue that like Naughty Dog's first truly AAA game was Uncharted.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Well, honestly, could we just say that AAA like truly formed an identity with the PS3 and Xbox era?
I think so, yeah,
That
because really it's like
sounds about right.
that was when like the
Yeah.
HD era came around and really for the first time really introduced the concept of pushing graphics. Like there were
Yeah.
always games that would push the hardware to its limits graphically and
Right.
everything. Like that's always been a thing as far back as you go. But like it never really became such a focus for the industry as a whole until the HD era came around. So yeah, I would say like AAA really, really came into its own, like really, really cropped up in the 360 PS3 era.
Yeah.
Ironically, that was also when AA kind of started to. I also think weirdly enough that AA was probably the strongest in that era as well.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough,
Yeah.
like that was
You
such
touched
an
on it
era for
briefly,
games.
like a lot of, say, like the Nintendo titles that wouldn't meet AAA criteria nowadays, or like maybe would have met AAA criteria on release, like now don't seem like they would be.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, because I absolutely love Metroid Prime to death, but like that probably back on launch would have been considered a AAA title, but like
Yeah, for sure.
you just don't think about it that way because
Right.
that was
Like
before that.
We didn't really have that that vocabulary back then
Yeah.
to classify things like that. Cause yeah, I think like AAA as games became more cinematic, that was something that kind of came up alongside that.
Yeah.
I mean, even in again, even in as far back as the PlayStation 1, games were pushing into cinematic territories,
Yeah.
but they didn't have the fidelity to truly embrace it until the HD era came about.
Although
Yeah.
I will say, since we're talking about the PlayStation 1, like there's probably a lot of stuff that like for its time would have been AAA type stuff, considering what the PlayStation as a console brought to the table with, having a full like 700 megabyte of CD space to work with. That you could include
700 megabytes.
Oh my god.
CD audio, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
Well,
like HD,
I mean, you don't have
but
to
like
look any further
high-res
than
graphical pre-rendered textures. Like
I mean, you don't have to look any further than a game like Metal Gear Solid or Final Fantasy VII, and there's your
Yeah.
AAA back then.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
main problem that AAA games face is obviously budgets are out of control in the modern era.
Yeah, it sort of
yeah.
feels like the blockbuster movies of video games. Of like,
But way more expensive than a blockbuster film.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
orders of magnitude more expensive at times. It's like unbelievable how much some of these games
Yeah.
cost.
Any idea how overdue that movie would have to be in order to rack up $70 in late fees?
Oh my god. But like
That's not the right blockbuster.
but like you think about a game like Spider-Man 2 that came out last year, and we know that game had a budget of over $330 million.
Good lord.
Why?
Budget of a Spider-Man movie.
Right, yeah,
It's-
that's why, because it's Spider-Man.
But why? The Last of Us 2 had a budget of over 200 million.
Yeah, and it still scored lower than Mega Man X7 on Metacritic.
But it's like, why?
Yeah, I mean,
Like it's kind of like a double-edged sword because like gamers kind of pushed the industry in this direction by saying we want our games to look like movies.
Thanks, gamers. You ruined gaming.
It's like because you have a subset of the gaming community that for them, like they want to keep pushing graphics as far into photorealism as you can get it, and anything less than that is not good anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
so you have these developers that are taking the wrong messages because they're listening
Mhm.
to the most hardcore obsessive and not just
Uh-huh.
what is actually feasible and sustainable in a modern day industry.
Yeah.
Right. Like at this
And-
point, I want to say they can't get any more photorealistic without just
No.
running into the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
We've hit
Like-
the perfect zone with the Final Fantasies and
Yeah,
Metal Gear
it's-
Solids and all that.
Yeah.
It's like
Last of Us, especially, yeah.
like the jump from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 in graphical fidelity was so insignificant prior, like compared to generations past.
Mhm.
And there's people out there that will think that, well, the PlayStation 5 to PlayStation 6, that's going to be the next like major graphical leap. It's like, I
Like-
think we're done with those.
Yeah.
We have been done with those for generations now. The last
And we're
significant
going to
leap.
be incredibly done with those because everyone wants to put like machine learning frame generation and ray tracing into their consoles.
Yeah, so it's like we're not going to see, like, obviously we're not going to see a PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 jump again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'd be lucky if we see a PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4
Yeah.
level of jump in fidelity ever
Yeah.
again.
The last big jump was PS2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I think, like, as far as fidelity is concerned, PS4 to PS5 level jump is all we're ever going to get going forward
yeah.
Mhm.
as far as an increase in fidelity. And where the improvements have to come from, and probably are really going to come from now, is just all of the stuff surrounding that. We're going to have like easier, like machine learning integrated to improve frame rates and fidelity in that regard and stuff like that. And we're going to lean a lot more on stuff like that than like raw horsepower driving these
Mhm.
graphics,
Yeah.
because it just can't look better than it does.
Right.
like
I think-
we've always said that throughout the entire history of games. We've always said it's like there's no way it could look better than this. But it's
Yeah.
like we've actually hit that.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the way that people complain about how air quotes bad the PlayStation 5 generation has been compared to the PS4 is exact proof of that.
Mhm.
People
Yeah.
aren't happy with games on the PlayStation 5 not looking that much better than PlayStation 4 games, and it's because technology has hit its limit.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's no longer how can the next console look better than this. It's more like why should the next console look better than this?
Well, it's how can the next console perform better, and not in the category of graphical fidelity, but just overall all-round performance and features and stuff. And that's where they're going to start to build stuff out, because
Yeah.
just playing the graphical arms race is just a losing game anymore, and it's costing this industry way too much. And we're
Yeah.
seeing that on an almost weekly basis of studio closures.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, look at that game that nobody can remember, but we all feel like it existed once briefly for a small moment of time, and the title of the game might have started with C, and it might have had something to do with like a type of grape.
Yep.
But now it's
Perhaps
gone from our
even a,
memories forever. It's been erased. But the several $100 million spent on it certainly was not erased.
mhm.
Yep. It came and went about as fast as the former supersonic airliner, the Concorde.
Yeah. Like, but we can't afford stuff like that.
Yeah.
I will say, I
That-
think with more horsepower in future consoles, it'll be less about like looking good, but more like how much the game can have in it at one time. Like
yeah.
having a Hyrule Warriors situation.
That doesn't lag.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah. Have
like
you seen
Sonic
clips
Sonic
of the new
and-
Dynasty Warriors?
I have not.
Oh my God. See, that's something that I'm really looking forward to, actually. You remind me of like Hyrule Warriors. There's a new Dynasty Warriors coming out. It's called Dynasty Warriors Origin. And it's basically like what you imagine the PS2 Dynasty Warriors being in level of like graphical fidelity and scale of these battles and stuff. It looks sweet.
Nice.
Now, where's Dynasty Warriors Gundam 4?
That technically released.
Was there a 4 or are you talking about Reborn?
Probably Reborn.
Yeah. No, I want Dynasty Warriors Gundam 4.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I still have to pick up Gundam Breaker 4 because
Me
that game is
too.
actually good. But yeah, go ahead. What were you saying about Neil about Sonic?
Sonic Unleashed performed pretty badly on the original consoles it came out on. Mostly the daytime stages because you're going by so much stuff at such quick speed. There was a ton of frame dropping on both the PS3 and Xbox 360. But since the future iterations of Xbox have all been like backwards compatible, you can play Sonic Unleashed on the latest Series X or whatever they call it, and it actually finally runs at 60 frames per second without dropping frames.
Nice.
I do like playing Roller Coaster Tycoon at 1,000 frames per second on my modern gaming computer.
Right, yeah. Like racing games are comparable too. Like you can finally not have to worry as much about not being able to have as much stuff in the background. Like some of the shortcuts in racing games of like flat characters cheering is because it takes too much time, but some of it is like limitations of hardware, and that part of it will go away.
Yeah, I think
It's part of the charm of some of those kind of games, though, in sort of like an indie game fashion.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I love just stopping in a racing game and driving around and looking at all the weird, like not fully rendered things.
I love the cardboard cutout audiences.
Right?
you mean,
Yeah.
You mean to tell me we'll finally be able to put crowds in the Coliseum in Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah.
Will that finally be possible? Oh my
Only
God.
with the next generation.
Oh my God.
Finally have
Come
flag
on.
cutouts in there.
Come on. PS6 with Kingdom Hearts 4. Let's go.
Unless they learn too much into like the machine learning frame generation stuff, and then the next couple of console generations will be all this phenomenal cosmic power to generate the same struggles to hit 49 FPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a portion of the graphics bros, though. Not all of them, but I think there is finally a portion of the graphics bros that are admitting that it doesn't need to look better than this. Let's get these things performing better.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're getting to that point, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a while before like people finally acknowledge that this is as good as it needs to be.
Yep.
On a fidelity level. Let's just get the machines to a point where they can do other things as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
expand the options for like the way audio is handled in game, for example, like more like expansions into like spatial audio rendering and stuff like that. Just more cool tech and less focusing on graphics.
Right.
Yeah.
Like having 128 Marios.
Yeah.
Instead of having a really detailed Mario model.
Yeah. Yeah. Since we're mentioning that particular company, and I, who live in a perpetual state of the past, enjoying my video games built with lateral thinking a la Gunpei Yokoi.
Guys, did you see they announced the Switch 2 this week?
Whoa.
And it's a clock.
Yeah. Honestly, I was so happy when I saw that. It's like, yes, Nintendo remembered that they were they were a toy company still.
Yeah. That was a swing and a miss for me.
But don't you want to wake up to Neo Ridley?
I mean,
you will wake up so hard.
It doesn't, Lucas, it wouldn't work for you. You're married. It only works if there's one person in the bed.
Oh.
Yeah. as soon as your wife lays down to go to sleep, it doesn't work. Like I said, a swing and a miss. It was almost there.
Yeah,
Almost there.
Sometimes there's 3 people in my bed.
Sometimes there's even more than that, I assume, when the cats decide to jump up on the bed.
No, Becca doesn't let the cats in.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But we've got a Jack and Jill closet going between our room and Mavis's room, and sometimes in the middle of
forgot
the
about
night
that.
she'll
Just be like, hey, I'm going to sleep with you guys tonight. It's like,
Yep.
all right, get over
Yeah.
here. Let's go.
she hasn't quite figured out doorknobs yet, but she's got lever door handles pretty down packed, so like she can open up the door going between our rooms, and yeah,
That's fun.
sometimes I'll wake up and just like not have the covers on me, and like I'll go to like try and roll over, and like there's
There's a bug
2-year-old
there.
shaped. I can't roll over any further.
There's a child-shaped lump right there.
Yep.
Oh boy. But
Yeah.
I think maybe move on, I guess. We kind of talked about our subject.
So yeah, a very loose episode.
Yeah, it was a very loose episode, very loose topic. We talked about indie games, we talked about AA games, we talked about AAA games, and then everything else.
Honestly, I think my biggest takeaway from this discussion is that like I actually probably do like AAA games, and I just have never realized it because what I think of when I think of AAA games is kind of skewed from the annual release titles,
Yeah.
and also
Mhm.
really how much kind of historically speaking, like what would be considered a AAA title for a console generation really was kind of like deviated starting with the beginnings of the HD era.
Mhm.
Because like you'd have big name franchise titles, Mario's and your Zeldas, and back when they made them Metroid games, like they were the flagship titles of the series for those consoles, but kind of because of the era, you didn't really think of them that way.
Mhm. But hey, I can think of some more AAA games you like, because you like Halo,
I do.
you like Doom,
I do.
especially the modern Doom.
Yep.
It's very much AAA.
Yep.
And I like I
Is
said,
it the
I
new
promise.
marathon game?
uh,
Because I actually kind of am excited for that. Not gonna lie.
I would I definitely am curious. I wouldn't expect it to be anything like the classic series.
It's not.
But
Yeah, the classic marathon games were more like the storyline of Unreal,
mm,
but with the graphical stylings of Doom, because that was what Mac gaming was back in the day.
yeah, and this new marathon is going to be a multiplayer live service game.
Yeah.
So not saying it can't be fun. It is a Bungie game, and if anyone knows how to make a fun multiplayer game, it's Bungie. But we'll see.
Yep.
You guys hear about the Halo news this week?
No.
So 343 has
selling
been,
off Halo to a Bungie so that we can have good Halo games again.
unfortunately no, but 343 Studios has been rebranded into Halo Studios. All of their top leadership from like when Halo Infinite began, basically, like all the top leadership's gone.
Oh.
So it's basically new leadership in the studio. They've rebranded into Halo Studios, and Halo is making the jump to Unreal 5
Oh.
rather than continuing to use the proprietary slip space engine that they developed in-house that
Yeah.
Halo Infinite runs off of.
Interesting.
So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Obviously the plus side for that, and this is something that they highlighted when they
This is-
made the announcement, was
Halo on Unreal 5 is probably the closest that we will ever get to a modern Unreal tournament.
I knew you were gonna make that connection, but one of the reasons that they are really looking forward to starting work on Halo and Unreal 5 is that one of their struggles with Halo Infinite and why they struggled so much to keep up with content updates and stuff for its live service portion was they had to make the engine themselves in-house, so they were simultaneously like working on the tech side of things so that they could work on the game itself, where switching over to Unreal Engine just allows them to focus on developing a game.
Switching over to arguably the AAA game engine.
Pretty much. But also, this also expands the talent pool for them to hire from.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, their own proprietary in-house engine requires, like, nobody's gonna... Nobody, unless they worked for Bungie, like, no one's gonna have experience with the Slipspace engine, which means all new hires are automatically being funneled into this training to learn learn their proprietary software. So
yeah, have fun reading someone else's hieroglyphics from 2001.
Yeah, so overall, I think it's a pretty positive thing for Halo because it's been in a very not great state, personally speaking, for quite some time. Halo 4 was the last time I really truly enjoyed a new Halo entry. And just the 343 era of Halo has not been the best.
Yeah.
But now they have a new name. They're working on a new engine. I'm curious if...
Because Microsoft owns all of this, technically, they could have gone the classic route and licensed the id Tech engine. Just like everyone else did when Quake rolled out.
I'm curious
like Infinity Ward with did that for the IW engine that was used for the Call of Duty games. Hey, wait a second.
Oh.
That's owned by Activision, which is owned by
Microsoft.
Yeah.
I'm mainly curious if Unreal Halo is still going to feel like Halo. Because Halo has a feel.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm optimistic about it, at least. Like, I'm skeptically optimistic.
Yeah. And honestly, if Halo starts feeling like Unreal, then, well, I'll be happy too.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you haven't played Unreal, you should play Unreal. It's like
I played 2004 back in the day.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I'm talking about Unreal, like the first game in
before
the series.
tournament.
Yeah.
Just Unreal. Gotcha.
Yeah. It had a online multiplayer that's very similar to Unreal Tournament, but it also had like a full-length campaign. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's really fun.
Did you ever play Quake 3?
No, I haven't.
That was really good too. But it was not what I was expecting because I bought it expecting it to continue the gameplay direction of the first two games. It was like, no, this is just a strictly multiplayer arena shooter.
Yep.
A really good one, but not having online access back in the day and having a brother that really did not like that I was significantly better than him due to being 5 years older than him, made it very, very difficult to enjoy playing that game fully. It was a fantastic game. I just couldn't play it with anybody.
Yeah. You should remedy that.
I should see if I can track down that copy. Anyway.
Curb stomped all day at Quake 3.
Let's go. Anyway, let's move on to our last segment of the day. It is our weekly link to the past. And since I kind of mentioned more or less in passing, this is an early episode record. Our link to the past today is going to be on the day this episode goes live, but 22 years prior, releasing on October 15 of 2002. There's a lot of twos in this, actually.
Yes.
Roller Coaster Tycoon 2,
Yeah.
22 years ago, in 2002. It's a,
The sequel to legendary tycoon business simulator game Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 that Chris Sawyer, the madman that he is, programmed entirely in x86 assembly.
we're not gonna do that though. We're not gonna do that though. We already did that. We're not gonna do that. Chris Sawyer was a madman. We get it.
So mad he did it twice with Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Again.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was just like engine enhancements from Roller Coaster Tycoon 1.
Yeah.
Wait,
Pretty much.
different types of engine.
Yes.
This isn't
Well-
Train Tycoon. I like trains.
I do too. I get to operate one as part of my work, but anyways, there is the train transportation ride in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. So, but yeah, not to be confused with Railroad Tycoon, which was a Sid Meier's Tycoon game, which actually served as inspiration for Roller Coaster Tycoon. Basically, if it's a business simulator and it involves things that run on rails with trains of cars, play a good game. Yeah. Definitely don't have as many hours in RCT2 as I do the first one, just because I didn't own it until GOG came around.
I
But
rented it a couple times, but it was always like, oh man, this is cool. I wish my version had it.
Yeah.
But kind of one of those like, Mom, can you buy me Roller Coaster Tycoon 2? And you already have Roller Coaster Tycoon at home.
but yeah,
This
you
one
get
has a
them
2 on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can pick them up usually for pretty cheap. I think you can get Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2 on GOG for like $15, something like that.
They're also on Steam too, if that's more your fancy. Although I would recommend Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic. You're gonna go that route.
Yeah. Or if you ended up going the GOG route, there's also Open RCT2, which is a
That's true.
open source reimplementation of the Roller Coaster Tycoon engine, and lets you do cool stuff like have all of the Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 stuff wrapped up into your Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Nice.
But yeah, another advantage of the GOG versions is that like you can extract the original like Windows 95, 98 game files from the GOG executable and run them on, say, the
Anything
Compact
you want.
Presario 7470
Mm-hmm.
running Windows 98 second edition,
Yeah.
complete with all of the original matching accessories. That is next to me.
Nice. Yay. Happy birthday, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. This is the
Let's
end
out of here.
of episode 61. Lucas, where can you be found outside the podcast?
Find me on Linktree at linktr.ee/Karn_evil_999. It's got links to my YouTube channel that I run for the podcast where I upload long play videos of the games that we talk about. Go check out some Phantasy Star Online stuff. It's been doing great. Lots of people like Phantasy Star Online, so should you.
It's a good game.
Someone even asked me how to get it running on their Steam Deck. So.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm the perfect guy for that. I've been running Phantasy Star Online on Linux since we started playing it for that episode. Then, of course, got it. Oh yeah, we've got links to my Twitter, which has the same handle as the link tree, so you can do that. Also, links to catch up on the backlog of podcast episodes and join the podcast Discord. And you can add me on Steam in case I'm playing games on Steam that day. But yeah, that's linktr.ee/Karn_evil_999.
And where can Neil be found outside the podcast?
All my links are on my Linktree, linktr.ee/PMK9. You'll find everything there, and I'm just going to keep moving on so this episode ends. Colin.
Yeah, it's like 2021 for us.
Yeah.
2021. Yeah. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Delicious Morsel, on YouTube at youtube.com/Delicious Morsels and youtube.com/@Delicious Morsels Music. All of the Chrono Trigger songs are now on YouTube, and the Celeste songs are going up now. And then after that, a small break for a mystery song, and then Mega Man begins. Mega Man X, to be specific. But yeah, so go check those out. Yeah,
Mega Man.
do that. Also, twitch.tv/Delicious Morsels. Something might be happening soon, and you won't want to miss it. So go follow me on Twitch.
Do that.
It's going to be happening soon, as soon as I'm done procrastinating. Anyway, as always, if you liked what you heard here today, please be sure to hit the subscribe button where that's an option. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because I hear they like that stuff. I really like it when they're 5 stars. You could try that if you would be so kind.
Yeah.
I know we rambled a lot this episode, but it was fun, right? So, I mean, just 5 stars for the fun we had along the way. Hit the like
joining
button.
the podcast, you can continue to ramble along with us too.
Yeah. I think a band wrote a song about that once. Anyway. Something about hitting a like button if that's a thing that you can do, and feel free to share this meandering episode with a friend. We are going to be back in a couple weeks with another episode that's hopefully a little less rambly, but you never know what you get with this show. So until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember,
Play Stardew Valley. It's an independently developed game that is a sort of love letter to Harvest Moon. It's got cows.
it does have cows. Day for Skyrim, it has bears. It's a AAA game.
There we go. Okay. I was not drawing up any bear games.
Although, to be fair, even though they're rare, you have to beware the werebears there. Shout outs if you get that reference. I'm leaving now. Goodbye.